There's a new trend in indie gaming that I absolutely love, and it is the idea of cozy games. Games that you can just relax in. These warm, inviting games. You can sit down with a cup of tea, big blanket, and curl up for the night while the rain pitter-patters against your window. But it got me thinking, as the roguelike guy, can roguelikes be cozy? I mean, there's definitely some cozy ideas in them. Okay, maybe not. But I think that roguelikes can be cozy, and I want to show you a couple of my favorite games that I consider to be cozy roguelike games. Let's hop in. Now, I know a lot of you goobers are going to think, Balatro is super cozy, Tyler. And damn it, you're right, it is an extremely cozy game. But there's another cozy poker roguelike that I want to talk about, and that is Poker Quest. This is kind of the predecessor to poker roguelikes. It came long before Balatro did, and it's a brilliant, brilliant little roguelike game with a ton of content in it. I'm talking more than you can imagine. There's tons of different characters, different mechanics that you're unlocking throughout the game, and it's a much more dungeon crawly experience than Balatro is. I find it to be a very cozy game. The music is very inviting. It's a slow-paced style game, but with some really inviting mechanics and fun characters and design that kind of amplifies the idea of poker in a roguelike game. I think it's worth a shot if you love Balatro. It's definitely a unique and interesting little game. Now, whether or not you found gambling to be cozy, let's move past gambling and find some other cozy ideas. And one of the big cozy ideas in cozy games is cozy characters, right? Characters that really make you love the world that you're playing in. They might be goofy looking little characters. They might have dialogue that is cute and inviting. So let's take a look at some of these cozy character roguelike games. The first one being Cobalt Core. Many of you know by now, Cobalt Core is one of my favorite deck building games to release in the past couple of years. In fact, I even think that it's potentially the best deck building roguelike outside of Slay the Spire. That's how highly I think of this game. And the reason why I love it is it takes deck building and kind of amplifies it because each character in the game has its own unique deck with unique mechanics and ideas that go into how that character plays. But every run, you're taking 3 characters into the game. So you're able to combine those 3 decks, and when you start combining 3 different decks together, you're amplifying the decision making and the synergies that you can do with those characters. Now, what makes it a cozy game? Frankly, what doesn't make it a cozy game? The characters are so lovable. They have little lines that they're talking throughout the entire game. They're super cute little anime type characters, and then it's just the environment of the game is cozy. It's pixel art vibes, it's music that is calm and relaxing, and you're unpacking the stories of all of these characters across the game that really brings you into the world that they're living in. I find it to be one of those games that every time I play it, I just have a smile on my face, and it is the epitome of cozy deck building roguelike game to me. But another cozy deck building game is Wildfrost, which, as you can see, tons of vibrant visuals and inviting music. It is a brutally hard game, and they've had to do some updates to it to make it less hard, but I just love the design of this game. I find it to be very warm, right? Despite being a game all about being in the frost, I find the game to be very warm and inviting, and I can just imagine the snow falling outside and playing Wildfrost in the background while you're bundled up in a blizzard in the middle of winter, right? I love Wildfrost, and I think that you will too if you're a deck building fan. It is a brutally hard game. You can make one mistake and wipe your entire run out, but then you just hop back in with another one of the leaders in the game, grab one of the pets, and start another run. It's really a gem of a game. So we talked about goofy looking characters, and I think that one of the goofiest looking characters in a roguelike game is the little Peglin guy, right? He is absolutely adorable, and there's some other characters in Peglin that I think are extremely fun and cute characters. And Peglin is just kind of it's a cozy game to me, man. You're dropping balls onto pegs, having them bounce around. It's not the most, exciting game in the world, but you got that little bit of deck building that you're doing with the orbs that you're adding to your deck. And the updates that they have had over the past couple of years are really, really good. The game has turned into a truly expansive roguelike with a lot of content to explore in it. And I just think that the little guys are adorable, man. It's cozy in its greatest forms. But if we want to talk about cute, weird, goofy looking little guys, I don't think there's any game with goofier people than dotAGE. Man, this is one of my favorite roguelikes of all time. It was my game of the year in 2023. dotAGE is a city building roguelike where you are going to be building up a civilization using little workers. It's effectively a worker placement game. If you've played a worker placement board game before, it's a worker placement board game as a video game. But you're going to be controlling all of these little pips across your village to produce resources and attempt to stop the apocalypse from happening. But the little guys have personalities, right? They can get traits that give them different benefits and buffs. They have little storylines that go across with each one of them, and they just make you giggle as they're doing weird little silly things across the game. It's a game that's extremely long, right? Each run of dotAGE is upwards of 20 hours. So you can just curl up in a blanket, grab some dotAGE, and hang out for a little bit, making your decisions and building up your civilization. It is a hard game. That's the thing with roguelikes, is cozy games are typically not difficult games. But roguelikes are typically very difficult games, so there's a weird balance between what makes a roguelike cozy. And I do think that there's just kind of a bit of vibes-based cozy roguelikes that I'm doing here, where I have cozy vibes while playing some of these games. And I think that you may too when you check them out. So another one of these brutally hard but cozy character vibes games is Astral Ascent, which plays a lot like the game Dead Cells. If you've played Dead Cells before, Astral Ascent brings you into this 2D platforming game like Dead Cells, but with cozy characters and cozy vibes. You're going to be meeting a bunch of different people in the village, doing quests for them, and trying to get through all of the trials and tribulations that the game has. I stand by that Astral Ascent is one of the most intuitive and enjoyable combat systems in any roguelike game that I have ever played. It just feels good to do combat in Astral Ascent. So if you like this style and you like the kind of anime people in a 2D platformer, Astral Ascent's one you're not going to want to miss because it is a very, very cozy game. Now we'll move away from cozy characters and move into other cozy themes in games, such as farming, cooking, fishing, right? The kind of core 3 of games like Stardew Valley. If you love any of those kinds of games, you're gonna like these following roguelikes. The first one being another farm roguelike, which, as its title says, this is another farming roguelike where you're going to be planting crops, building buildings, and fishing to manage your farm in an attempt to make money before your rent is due, and kind of capitalize on what your farm is doing. It's a really, really brilliant little game that has you making a lot more decisions than you would think as you're balancing the energy that you have each day, what crops you're growing. And it's just a pretty expansive game with a lot going on in it. Now, they are making a sequel as well, which is another farm roguelike Rebirth. I think that is hilarious, and I can't wait for another farm roguelike Afterbirth and Afterbirth Plus. But they're expanding on all of the core things that were happening in another farm roguelike and making the game even better. So keep your eye on this one. It's coming out soon, and it should be a lot of fun. Now, I think the king of farming roguelikes is actually Terra Cards, which is a game that we've played a lot of on the channel. And Terra Cards is kind of meshing together a lot of different genres. It has some automation, it has some farming, it's got some deck building, and you're really just trying to make the most money you can possibly make each day. But there's so many different things to build. You can build chocolate bars, you can build a run that is focused around sheep. You can do a run focused around cows and do milk and pasteurized milk and yogurt and all of these different resources that you can collect to make money. And it's a game that you just kind of can get sucked into and try to maximize score. It's pretty easy to break the game. It's really not a difficult game in any way. But as you're, sending resources around and growing crops and dealing with the cute little animals, I think it's the epitome of cozy in a roguelike game. And they continue to update it with a ton of unique content, so it's continuing to grow and expand. It's worth checking out. It's got some good vibes. Now, as for some fishing roguelike games, there's one core fishing roguelike game that comes to mind, and that is Lake of Creatures. While being more combat focused, you're playing as a little fisherman on a lake fighting off enemies, and after each room is cleared, there's a chance that there's going to be some fish for you to catch. And as you catch the fish, they can give you buffs, and you can continue to collect the fish throughout the game. I think that the theming and vibes of this game are extremely good. It's got that top-down shooter roguelike feel if you enjoy games like Enter the Gungeon and The Binding of Isaac, but combining it with the cozy themes of fishing. And I think that they execute it really, really well. And finally, what about a cooking roguelike? Now, you may think of games like PlateUp, and PlateUp is absolutely very good, but there's another even cozier version of PlateUp that has released in the last year, and that is Coffee Caravan, which is effectively taking that PlateUp Overcooked style of cooking food for people and serving it to them as a roguelike, but doing it in the sense of you are owning a coffee shop in a little trailer that you're driving around town, and unlocking new recipes and unlocking new buildings to put inside of your little on-the-go stand of coffee. And I just love the feel of this game. I think it's an extremely cozy roguelike. And I want to play more of it in the future because I really only ever played the demo, and the full release has really good reviews, and a lot of people think that it's got some really great mechanics in it that allows for good replayability. So check this one out. I'll be checking it out again soon. Now, if you play cozy games for the cute animals and vibrant worlds, there may be a couple of games that are best for you. The first one being Dicefolk, which is a very, very interesting dice building, kind of deck builder game, where you are collecting chimera, which are little mythical creatures that all have different abilities, and using them in these very interesting fights where you're kind of spinning turnstiles, and the directions you spin put a leader in front to attack the enemy's leaders. But it's got that feeling of a Pokemon style game where you're collecting all of these different chimera, and you start to have really fun builds as you're combining different sets of them. Tons of replayability, and the mechanics go kind of crazy because along with just these chimera, you're rolling dice each time too, and the dice are the actions that you must take during each round, and the dice can be manipulated, so there's a lot of actions you take in the game, which as soon as you implement those kinds of mechanics, you're going to end up having tons of replayability. The art style is phenomenal in this game. It reminds me a little of like Studio Ghibli a tiny bit. I just think the Dicefolk is very, very good, and it fell under the radar a little last year. So check this one out, bit of an underrated gem. Now, another game with this Pokemon-style vibe that Dicefolk has is Patch Quest, which is a really interesting mix between roguelike and Metroidvania, where you're in this big labyrinth that has a bunch of these monsters in it, but you can use your lasso to capture and tame any of those monsters, and now they become your pet that you're using to do combat throughout the game. So you're collecting all of these different animals as you're exploring this world of Patch Quest, and maybe certain ones you like more than others, maybe certain ones you just want to have as a pet back at your home base. It's got those collectathon vibes that I really like in a game like this, and when you mix it with the roguelike style and the Metroidvania style, you start to explore a pretty expansive world in Patch Quest. I think it's a really, really interesting game with some fun mechanics, so check this one out. And now if you really like the cute, goofy, fun animals, there is no better game for that than Cat God Ranch. This is a Luck Be a Landlord style slot machine roguelike of sorts, where every turn you're putting animals randomly onto a grid that all have different synergies based on where they are in the grid. But there's so many animals and so many synergies to unpack in this game, and they all look adorable. Cute little faces, making cute little noises. I think that's just a fun game to play. It's pretty easy to break this one. It's not a brutally hard Luck Be a Landlord style game, but it makes up for that with the fun mechanics and fun cozy vibes that it presents. So if you're looking for a new slot machine roguelike, don't miss out on this one. Now, we've talked about a couple of different themes of cozy games, but sometimes the only way to really feel a cozy game is just the vibes of the game, the sound design, the music design, the pace of the game. These are some of my own personal cozy roguelikes that I find cozy and maybe you'll also love. The first one being Void Rains Upon Her Heart, which if you've seen Void Rains Upon Her Heart before, you're gonna go, Tyler, this is not a cozy game. It is a brutally hard bullet hell shoot 'em up game, but I think that it has some cozy vibes, to be perfectly honest with you. It's got the rain pitter-pattering in the background, it has that kind of dark, moody music, and it has the cute, lovable characters that you're unpacking throughout the game as you unlock more and more of the content. It may not fit the vibes of most people's cozy games, but to me, this is a pretty cozy game, and if you love bullet hells, you should definitely be playing this one. It is one of the best in literally the history of roguelike games. I am not kidding you, it is so good. Now, if you're a fan of tower defense games, listen up because the next two are going to be your favorite cozy games on the list. First one being Isle of Arrows, which I just love the minimalistic vibes of this game, and there is secretly a ton of content to unpack in this one. As you're building the map tile by tile, you're getting little bonuses as you go, unlocking new towers, and building out a really interesting final tower defense map across the 4 different classes in the game. I've said many times that Isle of Arrows is one of my favorite tower defense games because it's just doing tower defense in a different way than I have ever seen it before. And I think that the music and sounds and design of the game is extremely cozy, and it definitely fits this list. But if you're not a fan of Isle of Arrows, you might be a fan of Emberward, which is a new tower defense game that released last year, where you are building the path each time using Tetronimo pieces that kind of allow you to shape the maze of your dungeon as you're then placing towers on those pieces. But what Emberward does that is really brilliant is it takes the tower defense style and it shortens it down into smaller little battles where you're not staying in the same map for an extended amount of time. You're building short little maps that allow you to get all of the fun of tower defense in a quicker form, right? You're jumping around to different areas instead of one long tower defense game. So I really like Emberward for that reason. There's a lot of different mechanics in this game to unpack with the different maps that you have. So the replayability is really high, and I think that the vibes in this game are just very cozy. But one of my favorite cozy games out there is Witching Stone. This is a puzzle deck building game that plays a little bit like a mix between a Slay the Spire, a Dicey Dungeons, and then combining in an idea of Bejeweled, right, with the match 3 mechanics. You're going to be matching up gems on the board to build the designs of the different equipment that you have, whether that be spells that do attack, spells that give you block, and they combine this in such a way that you start to have these crazy synergies that you're able to use where you're hitting multiple equipment on the same turn, and then the enemies are impacting your board in certain ways. There's multiple characters, all of them playing very differently, and I think it's just one of those games that fell under the radar a lot. I really, really like this game. Now, when I started to write up this video idea, I wanted to do 10 games. We've already covered close to 15 games in this list, and I should just end the video here, but I have 2 more games that I want to share with you that I think are super cozy games that share some similar vibes to roguelikes, but are missing some core pieces for me to define them as a roguelike. So I'll let you decide for yourself if these fit your roguelike vibes, and whether or not you think they're cozy. First one being Mini Motorways, which a lot of you probably know by now. I've played it a lot on my channel. This is the sequel to Mini Metro, and it's this brilliant transportation game where you are building roads and bridges and roundabouts and motorways for cars to make it to their locations on time. There's a bunch of different locations that you have in the game, mimicking certain cities across the world, and I just find it to be a cozy game despite there always being chaos and nonsense going on in it. The fact that you can pause and take in the vibes of the game and explore the different areas of the world, I think that it's a really, really brilliant game that feels like a roguelike with kind of the end. It's got the permadeath component, but it don't really have the random upgrades. It's got some random generation. So it kind of hugs that border of being a roguelike game, but I can't quite call it one. So I couldn't not talk about it in this video. I really love Mini Motorways, and I think that you will too. And finally, my last cozy game I want to bring up is actually a board game. And board games are a little bit strange to talk about when you're talking about roguelikes, because I think there's actually a lot of case to be made for some board games being roguelike games. And this one definitely feels like a roguelike game to me, and that is Wingspan. A really brilliant little engine building card game where you are collecting birds, and those birds do different things, and every time you activate certain rows, you are activating those birds that allow you to then get more resources, which allow you to get more birds, which allow you to lay more eggs, which allow you to get more points, and soon you're spiraling out of control, building up this synergistic board of birds. The Steam rendition of Wingspan is extremely good. I own the game in real life as well. I've played it in both places, and I just can't get enough of it. I think it's a really, really great game. And what's cozier than little birds chirping in a vibrant little environment? I absolutely adore it. I think that you will too. That's my list of cozy roguelike games. What are your favorite cozy roguelike games? Give me some comments on what games you find to be cozy, games that you can grab a cup of tea and curl up for the night with. I think that there's going to be a lot more cozy roguelikes and cozy games in the future. It's a trend that is definitely continuing to grow, and I'm excited to see where it goes. So for now, thanks so much for watching. I'll be playing some of these games on the channel soon, so keep your eyes peeled. I will see you in the next video. Have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.